Damn, after they screwed over Chape in the last minutes of stoppage time, a penalty for Chape, man. They have to score, man. Now that's bullshit, man. Now that's bullshit. Now that's bullshit. He hit the crossbar. Damn, right on the crossbar, man. It's unbelievable. Damn, I'm gonna tell you guys. Chape got robbed. Then there was a penalty and they missed it. I'm telling you guys, it's a joke, man. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's unreal, man. It's unreal. It's unbelievable, man. They robbed Chapecoense. It's unbelievable. And then the guys still have a chance in the last second and miss the penalty. It's a joke, I'm telling you guys. Now, that's a disgrace, man. A disgrace. What a shame to see the goal disallowed, damn, for danger to the goal, right? Damn, it's surreal. Back in the day, we used to say that danger to the goal, an attacking foul. It's surreal. Shame. Man, what a shame. For real? It's surreal, man. Surreal. Now, everything's normal. Everything's normal at São Januário, right? Vasco lost to Atlético Mineiro at home. They're in the relegation zone, already connected to the Wi-Fi. So everything's normal, right? Varmeiras gets help from the refs and everything's normal at São Januário. Vasco, man, that's crazy. Vasco is in the relegation zone again. And look at that, huh? Look at that. This time, I will root for it. We joke around, mess with them. I never root for a Rio team to get relegated, but this time, it's going to be something, right? The La Macchia family took over Vasco's SAF in Serie B, right? Now that's something I'll enjoy. First time I'm actually rooting for it. We joke and tease, but never want a Rio team relegated. Now, is it going to La Macchia? So now, right, I hope they take over once Vasco's in Serie B, man. That's the reality. Now, what a shame, man. What a shame Brazilian soccer is. How sad this is, man. Right, but Chape had the chance and missed the penalty, then hit the crossbar after. But the goal was legit, man. They already had it. They already had the goal. They disallowed the guy's goal. This is a shame. This is surreal, man. This is surreal. That's crazy. Hey guys, good afternoon here. Good evening there. Greetings, red and black fans. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you are joining us, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below, turn on notifications by clicking the bell, and leave a like on the video. We're here now. Remember, you can access our tips channel on Telegram. It's in the description and the pinned comment. Remember, you can access it and keep watching our video as usual, okay? So stick around. We have a lot of information to share here, including updates about Luiz Henrique and Cruzeiro entering the race, right? Will Pedrinho have the money to sign Luiz Henrique to have an edge over Flamengo, which is a team interested in Luiz Henrique, but thinks the amount Zenit is asking for is too high? And knowing that Cruzeiro will face Flamengo in the Libertadores, and that they want to make signings to take on Flamengo. We're going to talk here about Flamengo's signing of an attacking midfielder and also talk about Arrascaeta and many other topics as well. You're watching this video here. Brazil is taking the field against Panama at Maracanã, and we, will also be doing it later on. Também post-game, something related to this Brazil match, also bringing you information about what's happening in the Brasileirão. The last games before we have the World Cup break. And we have some very important information here to share with you regarding Flamengo's preseason, their mid-season training. Flamengo is having mid-season training, right? We've already given you the dates, right? Flamengo leaves on June 28th and comes back on July 12th. They return to Brazil on July 12th. So Flamengo will have this training camp over there in Portugal, in Europe. In fact, the players are expected to report back on June 19th. Then they start training, right? They do their preparation, travel to Europe. And we already have the names of the 3 teams here. Okay? In fact, it's likely there will be a trophy at stake, a little tournament. Okay? So my friends, look, Flamengo will play 3 games in total in Europe. Right. The first is against Falkirk, a Scottish team from Scotland's top division. Yeah, they will also play a match against Birmingham. Right? That's hard to say, Birmingham. But Birmingham from the Championship, right? The English second division. And also a match against Benfica. So that's 3 games in the old continent, 3 games against European teams. Okay? They need to arrive in better shape for the resumption of official competitions in Brazil. So Flamengo travels on the 28th. After starting training in Brazil, they will report in Algarve, where they will train. And Flamengo afterwards has those 3 games there in Portugal. All right? So Flamengo is getting ready for what's next. It's a mid-season training camp, right? Which was planned by Leonardo Jardim's team. So we also have some important information to bring to you regarding Arrascaeta, right? Because we know that Leonardo Jardim requested the signing of an attacking midfielder, a player to replace Arrascaeta when necessary, right? He made it clear that Carrascal is not that player. It was clear to anyone paying attention that Carrascal is not that player. So Flamengo could even negotiate Carrascal's transfer after the World Cup. And we have Arrascaeta, right? Especially motivated for after the World Cup. That's very important. Because the news is very good. Arrascaeta is confirmed for the World Cup. News that just came out, Arrasca was called up. He's going even though he's injured to recover and play. It's the 2nd or 3rd game. He'll try, but he won't play the first one. But Arrasca is confirmed for the World Cup. The Uruguayan national team called up our foreign player, right? He deserves it. He really deserves it. I'm happy. Because it was a serious injury, a bad injury. It could have taken him out of the World Cup, but they had it too. Just as the Brazilian team was patient to help Neymar recover, the Uruguayan team was patient to help Jorge André Arrascaeta recover. So that's fantastic news, right? Regarding Arrasca. And now we also have information about why Leonardo Jardim requested the signing of a midfielder, okay? Yeah, according to Jardim, it's an important measure. He says it's an important measure to know how much we have to invest. In other words, how much money there is to spend. We have needs, but let's see what our budget will allow us to bring in. With that plan, we'll add more quality to the team. We won't make unnecessary changes. We're going to bring in players who can add something. Right now, that role is basically Arrascaeta, and at times Carrascal. We might have a different player there. Boto is working on that situation. Other than that, we have to look at each position and add more quality. Yeah. So what G reported is that Arrascaeta is the starter, right? In Flamengo's midfield, he's still important, but at 31 years old, he doesn't have the same physical strength as in previous seasons. To have someone to alternate with the Uruguayan, Flamengo went after Carrascal in the mid-year 2025 transfer window. At the time, however, the coach was Felipe Luis. With the coaching change in March this year, Flamengo's style of play changed. The way Leonardo Jardim thinks about the game influences the player's positioning. Carrascal is no longer seen as the ideal substitute for Arrascaeta. Although he can still be used there when necessary, right? He isn't. The Colombian is often used as a right winger or a wider midfielder. In other words, he isn't the replacement for Arrascaeta that Flamengo was looking for. Paquetá, who has different characteristics from both, something between Arrascaeta and Carrascal, and the request for another attacking midfielder also makes it clear that the coach doesn't see Paquetá as the replacement, right? Even though he has already been played further forward there. So he had his best moments at Flamengo as the second man in midfield, as a defensive midfielder, okay? So there's another issue, as we've already mentioned, that GE brings up and we've talked about here, that Carrascal had discipline problems with 3 red cards and so on. Flamengo invested 12 million euros in Carrascal and he could be transferred, okay? Jardim found another solution in the squad that can work when the team doesn't have the attacking midfielder available also, right? Already in the match against Curitiba, Lino was Flamengo's playmaker. He had a great performance playing more through the middle with 2 goals and an assist in the 3-0 win. So Flamengo is finding solutions, Jardim is finding solutions, but Flamengo is still looking for a player with Arrascaeta's characteristics to make Leonardo Jardim's system work, and Carrascal is not that player. He says the following here, look, our choice for midfield was a player who would fit well, right? Fit well, sorry, with Pedro. Yeah, I thought it was to hunt down the opponent, but yeah, fit well with Pedro. Pedro made a lot of runs and Lino came in and Luis floated and Royal came in. Pause, right? Yeah, it was a dynamic we wanted to create. Lino is a player with those characteristics. If you notice, Arrasca also makes those moves around the striker. It's important that this midfielder creates spaces not only in front of the defensive line, but behind it as well, right? Also behind the defensive line. Yes, I asked him to do that, and that's what happened. So you can see Samuelino there playing a role he didn't have under Felipe. And that might even be what Samuelino tried to explain, right? That with Leonardo Jardim, he's working differently. Maybe in this role where he found himself, he could be at the World Cup. So once again, saying that I think the way he spoke, maybe he could have avoided it, but honestly, he didn't say anything untrue. He's being used more and he's playing really well, right? He even played really well against Coritiba, okay? So that's it, guys. Flamengo is going after this player, and we know that when it comes to finding a substitute for Arrascaeta, the ideal name would be Almada. Flamengo fans are asking for Almada to be signed. Thiago Almada, who is currently being targeted by River Plate, would cost around 20 million euros. Yeah, the thing about Almada for this position is simply because, as I told you, Flamengo sees him as an excellent player, just like Jardim does. He's highly regarded by Flamengo's coaching staff. The main question is whether Flamengo will have the money to spend on Almada, since Flamengo also needs to sign a striker and maybe a fullback, right? There's also the left back situation, since Flamengo will have to sign one, right? They renewed with Alexandro. It could be that they negotiate Ayrton Lucas's transfer. A lot of people are talking about the Santos situation involving Ayrton Lucas. Nothing has reached Flamengo about Ayrton Lucas. We've discussed this already. I saw some information out there saying that Ayrton Lucas already even had an offer, that Flamengo was considering it. The information is that if Flamengo is going to negotiate Ayrton Lucas's transfer, it will be with a foreign club, okay? It would be a move to Turkey or Saudi Arabia, and only for a substantial fee. So it's Flamengo negotiating Ayrton Lucas's transfer, and Flamengo will look for a replacement for the left back position, okay? Yeah, so we have the information here regarding Luiz Henrique's situation. Right, since we're also talking about possible signings, Luiz Henrique is of interest to Cruzeiro, okay? This has already come out in the media. There are a lot of people talking about this, that Cruzeiro is going to try to sign Luiz Henrique. But it also comes down to the issue of at least 50 million euros, which is what Zenit wants, plus bonuses and everything else that Zenit demands. And the value he could gain during the World Cup. I really don't believe that Luiz Henrique will be signed by Cruzeiro. He's a player there. Pedrinho really has a lot of money and everything. He's the kind of signing Cruzeiro could make, and he'd really take the club to the next level. There's no doubt about it. Right, but I don't see any reason for much concern. I don't see any Brazilian club, not even Flamengo. Are you seeing Jardim? Talking about this financial issue, I don't even see Flamengo being able to sign Luiz Henrique for 50 million euros. And it's really presumptuous to think that Luiz Henrique will do badly in the World Cup, right? The way he's playing right now, playing really well, he should be the solution for the Brazilian national team. Especially in the second half, I believe he can be the main answer for the Brazilian national team. So if you imagine that Luiz Henrique does badly in the World Cup, cheering for him to do badly in the World Cup, nobody is going to do that. Just by being called up and being at the World Cup, I already think he's going to gain a lot of value. Just by being at the World Cup, he's going to gain a lot of value. That's a fact, okay? Yeah, let me also share some information about Rossi, okay? Yeah, you all published it. saying that Besiktas from Turkey is going to make an offer to Flamengo for the Argentine Agustin Rossi. The thing is, Besiktas up until now had already made an offer. We mentioned that Besiktas' offer was in December, right? December to January. Right, it was already in the previous transfer window. And Flamengo ended up not agreeing to negotiate Rossi, okay? We confirmed that this offer from Besiktas had already been made earlier. It's not now, it's not a current offer. So in this current transfer window, Besiktas might, according to UOL, make another offer for the goalkeeper Agustin Rossi. So guys, to wrap up Rossi's situation here, the offer that Flamengo received was at the beginning of the year, actually in the previous transfer window. And now Flamengo doesn't have any expectations regarding this, even though UOL says that Flamengo will receive an offer for Rossi soon. Right, that Besiktas from Turkey is preparing this offer for Rossi. All right? Once again, I'm very upset with the refereeing in the Brazilian Championship. It's a shame, it's a disgrace, it's a joke. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, hit the bell, and leave that cool like on the video. Greetings, red and black fans. This is Flamengo. Big hug. Thanks. I'm out.